call the February 16th business meeting of Borough Council to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance. It is the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, call roll.
Absolutely. Council President Fred Bush.
Here.
Council Vice President Michelle Panopoulos. Councilmember Jane Burok. Councilmember Barbara Fortner.
Here.
Councilmember Rob McGreevy.
Here.
Councilmember Cindy Rickards.
Here.
Councilmember Ira Winston.
Here.
Mayor Andrea Deutsch.
Here.
All right, agenda additions or changes? Is there
Um,
one addition to make?
Yes, I have one addition for council to consider. For the consent agenda, I would like to add a approval of an extension on the approval deadline for the tentative plan for 714 Montgomery Avenue through April 30th, 2023.
It should be noted that was just received today, so there wasn't time and opportunity to provide on the agenda.
All right. Would anyone like to move to the consent agenda? Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? We're going to vote on putting a delay of the review of the tentative sketch until March. Is it March or April?
April.
April, to the end of April, onto the consent agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. It's unanimous. Any further agenda additions or changes? Great. Comments? I've been told that the owl is acting up, so everybody just make sure to speak up today. We will continue to investigate what the issue is.
No problems.
Okay. Ms. Mayor, you have a report.
Not anything long. Just briefly, just as a reminder, if the skate park is locked, if the doors are locked for some reason, it is not appropriate to climb over the fence to get inside the skate park. And so, parents, if your kids are inclined to do so, please remind them not to do so. And that's it.
Actually, may I follow up on that, since we talked a little about this at the last council meeting? So I spoke in error at the last council meeting. The skate park is not closed for the season. Talking with Public Works, the skate park is closed whenever there's precipitation because the ramps get wet and slick, and it's a public safety concern. Parks and Rec also spoke about how we can better inform people when the skate park is and isn't open. So the borough office is working on that as well.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on to public comments. None in this room.
All right, so folks on Zoom, if you would like to make a public comment, either use the raise hand button on Zoom or literally raise your hand with your video on, and I'll call on you and you'll have the opportunity to unmute and give your public comment. All right, I see Carol Marie Scanlon.
First of all, I'd like to tell you, we can't hear you. I can hear you, Samantha, but I can't hear council members. So, we can't hear what's going on in the meeting.
Yeah, actually, sorry, this won't count against your time. I just want to go ahead and answer that question for you. So we have been dealing with a microphone issue with the OWL. I actually had to do the meeting via Zoom on the 19th and had a lot of trouble with it. And I'm trying to figure that out. And Council President Bush did encourage council members to try and speak louder. So thanks for reminding us about that. And I absolutely am going to look into getting that fixed.
Can the microphone be put close to the person who's speaking?
I could try, actually, you know what, I'll try, Carol Marie, I'll try moving the cart closer towards where Borough Council is.
All right, and then my question is, has the RFP been received for 201 Sabine?
Actually, sorry, Caroline, Jim is also going to take a look at it too. And while we mess with this, you're welcome to make your public comment.
So my question is, has the RFP been received for 201 Sabine?
Yeah, it's this.
That should do it.
We're working on the mic right now.
Try that, please.
Is that better, Carol Marie?
Can you hear us better now, Carol Marie?
Yes, we can actually hear you.
All right, thank you.
Yay.
Okay. Do you want to answer? I mean, did you have any more? That's
Well, like I said, I mean, just as we talk about regularly this is, public comment, not public question answer, but since it's a simple yes or no question, the answer is no.
all right. Thanks, Carol Marie. Is there any other public comment?
I know there's no one else no one else in the public on Zoom.
All right. Let's move to the consent agenda.
I move that Borough Council approve consent agenda items 8A through 8E.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to thank Andrew Charles for his service to the community. He's done a nice job, and I just want to publicly acknowledge his service on the Human Relations Commission.
That's right, Mr. Trills is stepping down from the Human Relations Commission. So if there's any community members who are interested in stepping forward and joining the Human Relations Commission, now's a good time. Michelle, you're gonna say something?
No.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, we're voting on the consent agenda items 8 through E. All those in favor of passing the consent agenda? Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Action items 9A, Foxhall Lane.
Yes, I move that Borough Council advertise the ordinance, a formal dedication of Foxhall Lane.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Samantha.
So the purpose of this ordinance, to make a long story short, I realize the borough has a list of roads from PennDOT that we get liquid fuels funding for. And I noticed on that list of roads, all borough roads that are public roads, with the exception of Foxhall Lane, was on that list. So borough staff reached out to PennDOT about how we would add Foxhall Lane onto that list. And PennDOT told me I would need to provide the ordinance that council would pass taking dedication of the roadway. I'm not saying the ordinance doesn't exist. All I'm saying is that looking through, all the ordinances in the room, in the storage room, I could not find such an ordinance. So the borough has, publicly maintained Foxhall Lane since its, creation. So really, this is more of a housekeeping item that council would approve advertisement of an ordinance, which Solicitor Walco provided in the packet. Once we have that, I could then submit the form to PennDOT, also provided in your packet, that would add Foxhall Lane onto our list of official public roads, and we could start getting liquid fuels funding to help offset our maintenance costs.
Any questions or other discussion? All right, we're voting to advertise an ordinance to finally formally take dedication of Foxhall Lane. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, my entire street breathes a sigh of relief.
And as a matter of just process, this ordinance will be a little bit different than your normal ordinance. This requires notice to all the adjoining landowners. And then I believe 10 days after that notice, more of an extended waiting period. So it isn't your classic advertised once, be back at the next meeting. We'll start the process of all the notifications required under the Pennsylvania Borough Code, but it may not be in a position to be legally enacted upon until the April meeting.
Yeah, you had some people marked who are not actually on Foxhall Lane, they're not adjacent really in any way. I don't know if that.
The parcels on the tax parcel numbers for Norbert Park, they're backing up to Parcel Lane, so just as a matter of caution.
Right.
That's to notify anybody that's adjoining or adjacent, even though the street address is not.
Okay. 9B, 32 Sabine Avenue.
I move that Borough Council approve resolution 2023-02 for the 32 Sabine Avenue final plan.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion. Samantha?
Sure. So, we do have, Chris Young, the applicant's engineer here with us tonight. If council has any additional questions. Mr. Young was kind enough to come to our work session meeting and give a brief presentation, about the project, which Borough Council didn't have any questions or comments at that meeting. You know, from my perspective, it's a relatively straightforward project. And otherwise, it's in compliance, you know, other than the review letters issued by borough staff, with part of the resolution of approval requires compliance. But otherwise, I would recommend in favor of council approving the resolution.
All right, since Mr. Young is here, I will once again point out that I did not like this being carved into really narrow strips. Council approved it, so, you know, I'm not going to object at this point, but since you design more of these things, Mr. Young, I still don't like that aspect of this plan. Any other comments? All right. We are voting to approve resolution 2023-02 for the 32 Sabine Avenue final plan. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Young. 9C, outdoor burning.
Okay, I move that Borough Council authorize the solicitor to draft and advertise an ordinance for outdoor burning regulation.
And second.
Discussion. How has this changed since the last time we saw it?
So admittedly, it has not. So two things. Number one, I didn't ask council at that meeting to actually formally vote on having the solicitor move forward with drafting ordinance and advertising. Also, there were a couple of questions and concerns from Borough Council at that meeting. I did have a chance to email the fire marshal and also our deputy fire chief about it. I'm not sure if he had a chance to review that email, and I honestly haven't had a chance to actually directly call him about it. So that's why this is currently unchanged. But what I would like to do tonight, if council is comfortable with doing so, is to authorize the advertisement. But before we do the advertisement, I will directly call Mr. Henderson to get answers to those questions that we posed. And as long as those answers are, you know, sufficient to what we need, then the solicitor can go ahead and draft an ordinance.
And again, this wouldn't be a full ordinance through all of our building codes. We adopt the international codes 2018. The ordinance would essentially just be any variations from the existing language in the code. So right now, for example, we have additional language in our code that prohibits open burning, but refuse leaves trimming shall not be burned outdoors on the premises in any manner whatsoever. That's already in our code. I'm anticipating that the idea of adding language related to recreational fires, which is again a term defined in the code, and removing some exceptions related to portable outdoor fireplaces, and the need to get a permit for recreational fires would just be the slight change. So it's not going to be a comprehensive change. It's just going to reference the provisions that are already in the International Fire Code and how it's changed for the borough's license.
All right, so we already have the 2018 International Fire Code.
Yes.
Part of our code. All right. Any other questions? Is everybody comfortable with this procedure? All right, well, we're going to go to advertise an ordinance for outdoor burning regulations. All those in favor?
It's unanimous. Final action item is Parks and Rec recommendation to hire Simone Collins for the master park plan.
I move that Borough Council authorize the Borough Manager to send an RFP waiver request to DCNR to appoint Simone Collins as the master park planner.
I second.
Okay. Discussion.
I'll start. So what this is, with the master park plan grant that we received from DCNR, it ordinarily has a requirement that municipality has to go through an RFP process to select any consultant that it works with on the project. And you're required to make outreach and get 5 bids as part of that RFP process. You're allowed to select anyone out of those 5 bids, but you would be required to get those 5 bids. And the keys of this project, given the work that Simone Collins has already done on the borough with the town square project, which, as we talked about before, even incorporates some elements, especially of stormwater management, with both Narberth Park and the 3 Elmwood property. It seemed like a natural fit based upon the fact they're doing that project, as well as the expertise they've shown in working with the borough to handle this project. In addition to a review of past projects they've done master park plans for active recreation parks that are similar size to Narberth Park, as well as other passive recreation projects. So Bill Collins from Simone Collins came and spoke with the master park plan subcommittee and did an in-person interview with them to make sure that they felt his firm would be a good fit. That group recommended unanimously to the Parks and Rec Board that they wanted to move forward with working with Simone Collins, and the Park and Rec Board unanimously recommended that we submit this waiver request to DCNR. It's certainly something that I've done before. When I did the master park plan project in New Britain Borough in my last job, there was already a planner on staff that was familiar with the borough and that people were comfortable with. And so a waiver was submitted for that project, for that planner to be involved with it. And I think that was a successful project. And I think for kind of the reasons I've talked about here, I would envision the same for this project.
Are waivers ever denied, or? are they
I actually
normally-
do not know the answer to that
Yeah.
question.
Okay,
I think in this case, I would not expect the waiver to be denied.
okay.
What if the waiver were to be denied? We just need to get more.
Yeah, we just have to go through
Bids.
the bid process, yeah.
So. All right. Any other questions? Okay, we are going to vote to submit a waiver or to ask for a waiver from DCNR so that we can hire Simone Collins. The master park plan, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that is also unanimous. That is it for our action items. Monthly reports have been filed. Do we have any new business or old business wish to bring up at this time?
Actually, can I ask a quick question to the borough solicitor about new business and old business? So I understand council's bylaws do talk that the agenda should have a component on it for new business and old business. However, in light of the changes to the Sunshine Act that were passed, I guess, a year and a half ago, that require us to amend the agenda and place more restrictions on how we can make changes at the table to the agenda. Would it be in council's interest, and sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here with this, would it be in council's interest to consider at some point amending the bylaws to remove new business and old business, given that the Sunshine Act nowadays pretty strongly frowns on introducing new things at the table?
I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt. I know other municipalities still do have the idea of any committee reports or new business, old business for the public's for the good of comments for the good of the public, not really knowing what would be stated, as long as those items are just merely informational and not formal action being taken or in any sort of deep deliberations. It probably would not be a problem. But if council also inclined to not provide the option of discussing that, or maybe just having something related to information specifically on the agenda, that'd be fine as well. But yes, it's not an opportunity to bring up something that you're gonna ask for a vote on, or to deliberate any real significant policies.
Yeah, I think the comments for the good of council have never been deliberation, as far as I can remember. So we should definitely keep
So
those
some
on.
food for thought the next time we
Okay.
take a look at the bylaws.
Alrighty. Speaking of comments for the good of council, does anyone have any comments for the good of council? All right. Well, we are going to have an executive session, and there are a lot of topics because we are hiring a lot of personnel. So we're going to discuss a personnel matter related to the hiring of an assistant manager, a personnel matter related to the hiring of a police chief director of public safety, a personnel matter related to the hiring of a police officer, disposition of borough-owned property not in regards to 201 Sabine, a legal matter regarding 198 Elmwood Avenue, and a consideration of leasing private property. And we do not anticipate returning for a vote. So I'll take a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of adjourning?
Yeah,
Okay, we are adjourned into exec session.
21 minutes.